All right, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk. Jeff here. Brad, what's up, dude?
What is up, man? How you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. Momentarily, not momentarily, a second ago, we were just talking about how the NFL is like literally like 49 hours away, and we're
We have
fucking hype.
25 straight weeks of football on the slate now. Not to mention you got NBA tip-off in like 42 days. The puck drops at center ice in like 61 days. Baseball is getting into its serious time. Soccer's in full swing. I mean,
For those that care about baseball, and I traditionally have never cared about baseball outside of the Tigers, my 10-year-old daughter, has been giving me like this push in my life to watch more baseball. Like she's like really into baseball. She really likes watching the Rays, the Mets, and the Yankees, those three teams specifically. Um, and I don't know if it's obviously because we like went to New York this summer, so like she likes to follow those teams now. And then we went to a Rays game this summer. She's been following the Rays, but she always wants to watch baseball, always. So she's always like, "What baseball game's on tonight? What game?" She has me turn on the best game that we can watch or whatever. So,
yeah.
definitely looking. I'm looking forward to some playoff baseball because, like, honestly, at this point in the season, I'm kind of just done with regular season baseball. It's kind of hit its peak with me. Plus,
Yeah.
football's here, so it's hard to
Right.
grab the attention.
Yeah, when I came into the baseball season, I just knew the Pirates are bad. I didn't really watch a lot last year. So I was just giving a bunch of Tigers fans crap that the Pirates are going to be better and stuff. And a lot of people
Mhm.
are like, there's no way Tigers will be better. Bet me on their record and stuff. And I didn't do any of that. But I just thought it was funny that the Detroit Tigers right now are 51 and 84. The Pirates are 49 and 84. They've just played two less games. Now they've got a series with the Mets coming up, so doesn't look great for the win column. But I just thought it was crazy how like I've watched the Pirates all year, like quite a few games. So I feel like I kind of know what the Tigers have been like. It's pretty close to the bottom there, those teams though. But
The thing that's crazy about the Tigers, and this is funny how this has become a baseball pod, like you just talked about how you brought up that the Pirates would finish with a better record, and that was a laughable take.
I didn't know what the Tigers were. Every
Yeah, but
Tiger fan I
that
talked to had
was
high hopes for the season, aspirations of like starting to turn it
yes.
around, and I was like,
This was supposed to be like the just miss the playoffs or sneak into a play-in game style. No,
it
we're
didn't
still
happen.
horrific, like horrific.
I heard the pitching was okay, but the bats just can't hit the ball. That's what
It's a
I've
lot
been
of
hearing.
everything.
Yeah,
The pitching hasn't been healthy. The bullpen's been
consistency.
okay. Yeah, it's
People aren't
really
tuning
bad.
in for fucking baseball right now, man. Especially the Pirates and Tigers. We're not even talking about good teams.
Yeah, we're not even talking about the Mets, really. Um, Mango or pineapple?
What's that?
Mango or pineapple?
I don't like either, but Casey loves pineapple, so I'll go pineapple.
I do too. Let's go.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, I don't.
Cracking open a cold Mountain Dew here. So, this is the NFL Bold Prediction Pod. What we do here is we're going to basically put out our predictions for the season. It's like our last minute before the season starts. We want to put it on record so we can brag about it here in 3 months, or hopefully forget about it and you guys don't listen to this and we don't look silly for saying that Sam Darnold was going to lead the league in passing yards last year. I don't know who might have said that.
Was it me?
No, it was me, but I was like
Oh,
trying to hide from the camera.
but there's
Um,
actually a few people because we were both on the Panthers. There's a few people at work. I was like, Sam Darnold's going to be a top 6 fantasy quarterback with those weapons and this and that. I just didn't realize how bad Sam Darnold was, really. I mean,
that's to
I'm
be
not
fair. No,
not saying the same things, but obviously our stocks on the Panthers have gone up with every single news article we hear.
yeah.
And I mean, again, if Christian McCaffrey stays healthy, but
Um, So let's start here. We're not going to get into the MVP just yet. I know that's who you guys all want to hear, but we're just going to kind of work our way into this. Um, let's start with the offensive player in the year. A lot of times that can become the MVP, but for sake of argument, we did this last year. We're going to do it again. Try not to name the MVP of the league as your offensive player. I know you didn't because you know the rules here, but
right,
um, I'll start with mine, and I feel
sure.
pretty good about this. This is a player that I have in 2 of my 3 fantasy leagues. This is a player that I have purposely targeted, and I just see him as I don't know if he's the best receiver in the league, but he's definitely a top 3 receiver in the best spot he could be as far as fantasy season goes or leading the league. And it's Justin Jefferson. I think Justin is an absolute dog. I tried to stay away from quarterback here. Trying to give it to either a running back or a wide receiver because normally the MVP is a quarterback in today's league. So I was trying to go somewhere else. I did give it to wide receiver Justin Jefferson. Before you give yours, love it or hate it.
I had it on my paper and erased it and went with somebody else. So I absolutely love it. He's in contention. I think in today's football, we may see this going forward. If you have the best receiving stats in the league for a season, you will have beaten 4 or 5 other elite guys, and your stats will have to be astronomical. Like Cooper Kupp won the Triple Crown, and I get that he won all 3 categories, but you look at some of the other guys, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, like if you were deemed the best receiver that year, then like you're going to have to put up outstanding numbers. So the best receiver is always going to have a chance. And Justin Jefferson, new head coach Kevin O'Connell, they should be passing a lot more confidently. You still have Adam Thielen, Kendrick Osborne has come in and played real nice. So yeah, I think Justin Jefferson's an absolutely fair take. Do you
I
think he has any
also
chance at MVP?
no.
Okay.
I think you answered your own question a second ago. Cooper Kupp just put up historically one of the greatest seasons ever.
Yeah, I agree.
Didn't get MVP.
It's
Randy
basically
Moss in 2007 caught 23 touchdowns. Didn't sniff MVP.
the
It's
MVP
so
should be the
hard.
Cy Young. It should just be the Cy Young, and it should be a quarterback award.
Yep.
Offensive player of the year should be the MVP for all other positions to chase.
Agreed. And it very well could be a quarterback here, and a lot of times it's a dual award or whatever. Like Aaron Rodgers won the MVP, but who won the Offensive Player of the Year award last year? Do you know? I honest to God don't know.
It was Cooper Kupp. He won
It was
Offensive Player
okay.
of the Year. Yeah.
Okay, so we just kind of that's kind of
Yeah.
what we're doing here.
That's
All
what I
right,
was asking, like, what would Justin have to do? But
I think part of the reasons I picked Justin here too. I know you are. I'm slightly behind you. I'm high in the Vikings. I think the Vikings are going to be good, which means Justin's going to be prominently featured for good reason. So go ahead and go yours.
yeah, I obviously I switched it from Justin Jefferson. I ended up going with a quarterback here.
Okay.
A lot of times it's going to be 2 quarterbacks. I think this is a guy who is going to have a chance at MVP, but is going to fall short. But this guy, he got hurt last year, and so did most of his team, Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson comes in. This is a Ravens team that has every opportunity to get the 1 seed based on their schedule. They play a 4th ranked schedule because they finished 4th last year. But this team was 8-3 and kind of rolling, even with no running backs. They're losing corners, linebacker, or they lost everything. The Ravens are completely decimated by injury. This team stays fully healthy. This team goes on a run. They have a lot of games versus Jets and Miami to start it off, which we don't know what Miami is yet. I see Jaguars, I see Panthers, Falcons, a lot of maybe young or possibly weak defenses that Lamar can put up those nasty stat lines. So I really like Lamar Jackson here. I'm going to go quarterback, spoiler for MVP offensive player of the year and go Lamar Jackson.
Okay. Yeah, that works. I love Lamar. I already told you guys a couple weeks back when we did the first division breakdown that I thought he had a chance to to lead the Ravens to the number 1 seed or even the division. So I'm high on that. And
imagine if a quarterback leads the league in rushing.
Remember, I dark horsed that last year.
And
it sounded silly until all his running backs got hurt.
Yeah, then it was like, let's go.
Yeah. Definitely a possibility again, honest to God. In a 17-game season, Lamar could lead the league in rushing if that's the route he wanted to take. I don't foresee that this year without a contract in hand. That's going to be tough.
Do you imagine he has 2,000 yards passing, but 1,500 rushing yards?
That's some Denard Robinson stuff right there
in
college.
Insane.
That is insane. Defensive player of the year. I'll let you start here. I started last time.
Yeah, I think this is an obvious choice. Everyone knew this was coming. I'm not gonna, beat around the bush. It's TJ Watt. TJ Watt, in my opinion, is the second best defender in the National Football League, but he puts up crazy numbers, which makes him compete with Aaron Donald. I just see they're 1 and 2 for me, but I respect to Aaron Donald there. TJ Watt finished third in DPOY, then second. Many believe, including me, he should have won it, and then he won it last year. And I'll just put it like this: I heard a stat watching the NFL Top 100. TJ Watt tied the sack record, and the amount of quarters and games he missed is the equivalent of 4 games. So in 13 games, he tied the sack record. That is unreal numbers. He has a fully healthy defensive line, which he didn't have last year, along with Cameron Hayward, which opened stuff up. So I love TJ Watt here. He gets the ball back, he forces turnovers, he gets sacks, bats the ball down, and he's on everyone's radar. So as one of the front runners, if he puts up the stats, he'll be there at the end of the year in the votes.
So I knew you were going to take TJ, and you could probably predict mine because it's Aaron Donald. He's the only other answer. But because I'm picking Aaron, and I knew you were going to pick TJ, and to be honest, those are 1A and 1B. Give me a dark horse.
Man.
I'm going to give you mine first, and I'll let you think about it while I'm thinking because I put you on the spot here. I'm high on the Raiders. You know I'm high on the Raiders. I think the Raiders could be really good. I'm going Max Crosby. Just signed an extension. He seems like the type of player that isn't just going to sign an extension and go get 12 sacks. I think he's the type that's going to sign an extension and lead this team and potentially have 17 or so sacks. And yeah, TJ might get 20-something, but if the Raiders are really good, you know how that factors in. Watch out for Max Crosby to get Defensive Player of the Year.
There's a defense that has been labeled as the reason that this team has been held back. They added 2 All-Pros to their defense this year. And I think he's sick and tired of everyone saying his little brother is better than he is. Joey Bosa gets a running mate with Khalil Mack. I think Joey Bosa has a chance to finally see way more one-on-ones, more coverage shifted to the other side. Things open up for more time with their secondary, adding J.C. Jackson, Asante Samuel Jr., Derwin James. I think if it's not T.J. Watt, I think Joey Bosa has a real chance to lead the league in sacks. And if my predictions and hopes are right on my sheet, the Chargers are also going to be one of the top contenders, which he could be the best player on a defense for the best team in the AFC potentially. I like Joey Bosa a lot here in this spot.
Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'll start, and we may have the same player here. This is a player that I know I was on record. I told you that I wanted. Unfortunately, New England did not draft this player. He actually, I think he was either drafted 2 spots ahead or 2 spots after. Regardless, it's George Pickens. I was big on Pickens coming out of college. I think he's an absolute dog, like you said, and I think he's in the best situation to blend in and get a ton of stats and be a factor late in the year as he kind of slowly adapts to the NFL. He's not the number 1 there, and that's going to bode well for him because I think he could become the number 1 by the end of the year. And depending on who's quarterback and what works out, watch out for George Pickens to get the Rookie of the Year this year.
Yeah, Pickens/Pickett is always going to be a pretty safe choice because they've been the most talked about rookies. And George Pickens, I mean, the Steelers run a lot of 3 receivers on the field, so he's going to see plenty of playing time. But to stay away from Steelers, which Pickens is a good answer. I think Pickett, we don't know how much he's going to play, so it's tough to pick that there. But I think there's 2 choices I have here. I couldn't figure it out. Dameon Pierce for the Houston Texans. He seems to be a running back who's emerging quickly. And in an offense that's not talked about enough, Brandon Cooks is not talked about enough. The O-line's decent. We love Dougie Mills. We are a pro Dougie Mills podcast here. I think Dameon Pierce could show a lot of promise. And also, I loved the fit and placement of Chris Olave with the Saints. Again, you talk about a number 3. If Michael Thomas plays and Jarvis Landry, I think it's going to be a pass-heavy offense in a dome. Chris Olave get a lot of looks, had a nice touchdown in the preseason. So we forget he was kind of lost last year in a trio of elite receivers in Ohio State, but he had a chance to be better than those guys just as much as they did to him. So I like Chris Olave and Dameon Pierce a lot as well.
Yeah, those make a lot of sense. Dameon Pierce has gotten so much love over the last couple of weeks through fantasy drafts and stuff like that. He's shooting up the boards. That makes a lot of sense. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I'll let you start.
So for Defensive Rookie of the Year, I have Quay Walker for the Green Bay Packers. They run a 3-4 system. He's next to Campbell, who is a 100 tackle a season guy. But when you look at Rashawn Gary's had a really good camp. You look at Preston Smith. They don't have Zadarius Smith anymore, but that defense as a whole, they have a lot of belief in their secondary. So the front seven's going to get a lot of opportunity to make plays. I just think Quay Walker could be a rookie that finishes the season with 75 plus tackles. So if he can add a few splash plays, maybe a couple fumbles or maybe a pick, like he could be a real chance. And also the other one, dark horse, because plays on a really bad team, one on a good team, one on a bad. Sauce Gardner went his entire collegiate career without allowing a touchdown, and he's gone the entire preseason without allowing a catch. In fact, there's next gen stats. No one even targeted Sauce Gardner's receiver. So nobody even tested the rookie in preseason. He seems to be a guy who he's got the right size, right numbers, and he showed it in college. Sauce Gardner, if he ends up coming on the scene, Patrick Surtain last year had a chance at Rookie of the Year. So I think Sauce could be that guy this year.
I'm going to give two. So my homer pick, it's the dog himself, Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan, getting drafted to the Lions. Personally, I do believe that this is actually the favorite, in my opinion, to win it, because he's going to start right away, and he's going to be a factor. And that defense was actually pretty underrated, as you gave the stat earlier this year. If they scored 20 points, they would have had a winning record by their first bye week. So this team doesn't allow a ton. They play gritty. And who plays more gritty than anybody? Aiden Hutchinson. I love this. But my second one, I don't know if it's necessarily a dark horse. I know this player fell in the draft, but he fell to a perfect spot to a very good defense. Nakobe Dean out of Georgia, linebacker for the Eagles. Just an absolute camouflage player, because there's so many players around him that are going to be highlighted, that Nakobe Dean could be in for a huge season if he plays a lot and is really a plug-and-play player. He fell in the draft due to health concerns.
Do you know exactly why he fell?
He refused to get a test, correct?
He had an injury around his pec shoulder area. And some teams are like, that requires surgery. But there's a lot of doctors that were like, if you rest and do things properly, that'll heal on its own before training camp. So he's like, I'm not doing surgery. And a lot of teams moved him down the draft board because they thought he would re-injure it. Turns out they got a first-round top 20 pick at pick 58 in the third round. And he's been fully healthy. He's been tearing it up in camp. Him and Jordan Davis have a connection in front of him on the D-line. Mm-hmm. I think that's a tremendous pick, Nakobe Dean. People forget about him, what he meant to that Georgia defense.
I'm not going to compare him to Micah Parsons because honestly, Micah Parsons at this point is special. But Micah Parsons fell in the draft because last year became QB happy. This year it became, well, we're just going to doubt that Nakobe Dean's healthy, and the Eagles might have stole a player.
Absolutely, they did. I think if he doesn't get hurt, I think they absolutely did, because they needed middle linebacker bad, and they got him in the third round. That's crazy.
Not to mention his college teammate and current teammate. Is it Jordan Davis, right?
Yeah.
Jordan Davis could also potentially win the Defensive Rookie of the Year. A lot of people are comparing him to basically an unblockable machine already, so we'll see.
Yeah, I just don't know if he'll get the play time, because that D-line goes 8 deep, and currently he's on the second line, so there's a lot of rotating in there, but he's absolutely going to make some splash plays where people are going to be like, that's a big boy moving real fast.
Comeback Player of the Year. I guess I'll go first. I don't know if this would necessarily equate. I believe it does. I'm taking Lamar. I think Lamar Jackson, obviously missed half the year last year due to injury. A, he was hurt last year. B, tons to prove. Doubters since the beginning of his career. And C, in a contract year, unless for some reason he gets paid in the next 3 days because he says he's not going to sign a deal once the season starts. So really, they have until Saturday night, I like Lamar to win the Comeback Player of the Year and flirt with any other award that you can think of.
Yeah, if you buy into that Tampa's going to regress, interior offensive line, off the field issues for really the first time for Brady, If you think they're going to decline, I think the Saints could sneak up and win this division. And I think Jameis Winston could be your comeback player of the year. He's got 3 elite targets on the perimeter: Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry. Alvin Kamara picking up a lot of yards, dumping off in the backfield, design screens. They're going to be in a dome. We're going to see plenty of the Saints. And last time we saw Jameis for a full season, he threw for 5,000 yards. And then last year, before he got hurt, they were 5-2 with him. And then they started to decline with Taysom Hill and whoever else they had at quarterback, and it really kind of fell apart. Jameis Winston could come in if he makes the Saints a real player, and gosh forbid wins the NFC South. Jameis Winston, I think, has a real chance. If I had to put my money down, that's what I'd put it on is J-Boo.
Most valuable player in the league. Your turn.
I'm going quarterback Justin Herbert. He's my pick. Everyone knows I'm high in the Chargers. How I'm going to stay. He's broke records for yards and touchdowns in his first 2 seasons. I think going into year 3, arguably the best offensive line in the league. And here's how I also view it as well. The Chargers, if they do contend for the 1 seed and win potentially the most difficult division, those bode well. But a lot of times MVP comes down to a media award. That's who votes on it, and it's kind of the storyline. If you look at them being a big game player, this is how they finished the year. Raiders, AFC, contender. Dolphins, AFC, playoff contender. Titans, AFC, playoff contender. So everyone can see it. Week 16, Monday night, Colts, playoff contender. Then January 1st, Sunday night, they play the Rams, potential Super Bowl matchup if they're both playing right. And then week 18, probably flex to primetime because it'll matter, at Denver. We are going to see Justin Herbert the last 3 weeks. He's going to be in everyone's face. And if he balls out and has a year, Justin Herbert could win MVP. If he wins this division, in the last 3 we're watching are Colts, Rams, Broncos, all on primetime, and he wins 2 or 3 of those games, I think the Chargers can. And I think when it's a media award, he's going to have a lot of statistics, and then he's going to be playing really big games that everyone's going to be talking about Chargers and Justin Herbert, whether it's because they're falling short of aspirations or they're blowing past them, I think. So I think Justin Herbert has every chance in year 3 to win an MVP.
Yeah, inject that week 17 Sunday nighter into my veins right now.
It says to you talk about the Rams.
Yes, yeah. LA versus LA, let's go.
And it's a home game for the Chargers, but obviously that's in SoFi, the 2 LA teams.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a home game for the Chargers, I think doesn't the season ticket holders go to the Chargers fans, not the Rams fans?
Correct.
And their ticket sales sold out for the first time ever this year. I believe I heard that on a podcast. So there should be more Chargers fans than maybe we're giving them credit for. But just the matchups in that game: Cooper Kupp versus J.C. Jackson, the O-lines, with the pass rushers: Aaron Donald, Bobby Wagner, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack. Everyone knows Keenan Allen.
There'll be stars all over the field. There will be stars all over the field.
SoFi. Let's go to that game. What are tickets? $1 billion?
So I'm going to give you mine, but I want you to start thinking of a dark horse. Okay. My MVP is going to kick off the NFL season on the road. It's Josh Allen. He was also my MVP choice last year. Unfortunately, he never really flirted with it. Wasn't really the season that we thought we were going to get out of Josh, but overall, still a really good season. Made the playoffs, and in my opinion, played the best game of his life in a loss at Kansas City to be eliminated from the playoffs. I just look at this season as this is the Josh Allen season. If he's going to have one, I think this is it. This is the season where I keep saying he's number 2 behind Brady. I think a lot of people are going to agree with me after this season. I think this is you're going to get the total package. He's been paid. There's really no other barriers in his way. He's broken down everything else. He's got the talent around him. Yeah, watch out for Josh Allen to win the MVP. I'll move into my dark horse before you get going. I think the dark horse is on the other side of the ball on Thursday night. I think the dark horse would be Matt Stafford, and it's a reason it's a dark horse is A, he's never won the MVP. B, I think a lot of people argue the best player on the team's Cooper Kupp as far as offense goes. So they got Cooper Kupp. They also have Vance Jefferson, and then they add Allen Robinson.
Love Allen Robinson. I'm so glad he's going to get his flowers this year. Everyone tells me he's an average receiver, plays on the Bears, can't elevate his. Allen Robinson going for 10+ tuds this year.
Probably, yeah. He's gonna be a dog. He was underdrafted. Let's just say that in every league, he was underdrafted. The thing is with Stafford, this is gonna. I think this could definitely be the season where, yeah, I just won the Super Bowl. My confidence is an all-time high. Sean McVay, the coach, just lets him air it out, and Matt might get 50 touchdowns this year. I mean, it's very well on the table, and Cooper Kupp could have another historical season. Yeah, I like as a dark horse Matthew Stafford, who's never even, I don't know if he's ever even got an MVP vote. So that would definitely be a dark horse.
I'm not super high on this team, but they could absolutely prove me wrong. I'm taking kind of a leap of faith, not being too high on them. But, man, you got bailed out by a coin toss versus Josh Allen and then couldn't beat Joe Burrow, and you lost Tyreek Hill. It's going to show your true colors. You're not what people were saying you were coming into the league with Andy Reid, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. If Patrick Mahomes leads this team to 12-5, 13-4, potential 1 seed, I think Patrick Mahomes kind of like, he made the AFC Championship game, and people are just already willing to talk about the Herberts, the Burrows, the Allens, everybody, it seems like. And Patrick Mahomes kind of like, I'm up just like trying to forget, like, I'm Patrick Mahomes. I'm the one who signed the big deal. I'm the one who went to like 3 or 4 straight AFC Championship games. So I think low key this could be a head down. No one's really talking about Jackson Mahomes or Juju doing TikToks. Teams getting after it. Nobody really likes their defense. We don't talk about their running game, but they have an O-line. They have Patrick Mahomes. They have Andy Reid. They have this plethora of B+, A- receivers. I think Patrick Mahomes could come out and throw for over 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns, lead him to the 1 or 2 seed, and potentially take back that MVP trophy. So my dark horse would be Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Maybe he's not a dark horse to some people, but I feel like in the overarching glue of the award, no one's really talking about it.
That's fair. To be honest, he had a pretty solid season last year and really was never in that conversation. So yeah, that's fair. Is it too early to do a Super Bowl prediction, or do you want to wait on that?
We can wait. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay. Let's go into some questions. We'll come back to Thursday night and we'll talk Super Bowl predictions before we get off too. Let's go into the questions. So this one came off of air. Okay, so it's not. I'm sorry, it came off of line. Somebody brought this to my attention. I'm gonna give him his props because I know he listens. Mike Fountain, friend of mine, listens to the pod.
Thanks, Mike.
He asked me this question. Tom Brady's turning 45. Just turned 45 on August 3rd. Over under 45 touchdowns this year.
45. I'm going under. That's a lot. But I almost used him as my dark horse for MVP. I think he's going to have a fantastic year.
For what it's worth, 2020, 40. 2021, 43.
Yeah, and I know those are real good. I know this will be like the simpleton answer, but neither of those are 45.
No, yeah.
Now, if the question was over under 40, that would be a good one. I just look at some of this and it's like plays the Saints twice, Packers defense, Steelers, Ravens, Rams, 49. But there are some weak defenses in there too. I'm not going to put it past Brady. If I had to pick, I'd go under. But I don't think there's any way he throws for under 35. But I don't know if he hits 45. So that 40 mark is where I see him at. I could see Brady having a 40 touchdowns, 9-pick year. But starting off with Mike Evans coming into the season with a little bit of a hamstring. Chris Godwin's not going to start the season. Russell Gage, some new pieces. I don't know if they're blowing people off the jump. But, man, you start to get to, like, mid-October and later, and it's just going to be Brady 3 touchdowns. Brady, because this is a team also, even though they have Leonard Fournette, with the interior O-line regressing, this is going to be a lot of, the Brady Julio Jones, Mike Evans, those fades. Mike Evans has to lead the NFL in the last 4 years in touchdowns under 5 yards catch, like 3-yard touchdown catch, 1-yard touchdown catch. So he's going to get a lot. I think 45 is too many for this team, but it's a good question. But I like him around like the 38 mark, 38, 40.
This is a bold
Still
prediction
ridiculous.
episode. Yeah,
It's
this is a
ridiculous that
bold
we can
prediction
even.
episode. I'm going over. I think as a closeout season, he's only thrown for 50 once, so he's only been over 45 one time. Why not go out with an extra game? They're going to let him throw it as much as he really wants, I think, this year. And the interior of the offensive line, as of right now, is not what we think it's going to be, which means the running game might not be great. You might have to throw it. And as you alluded to, all the big games they're going to play in. In my opinion, that opens up more touchdowns because they're going to need to score to beat those teams. Give me the over, even if it's 46. Let me say this. If it's 44.5, I'm slamming the over. Give me at least 45. Let's say that. How's that? By the way, time for mango. Second question. This one came over the phone. Andrew Nutter, friend of both of ours, friend of the pod. He asked this question. I'm going to ask it the exact same way, but if you kind of need to rephrase or change it up, go ahead. Who is this season's Jamar Chase?
Okay. So who's the breakout player? Like nobody knows about him and they just explode.
Yeah.
That's a really tough question, Andrew. Especially
It was tough. It was tough for me. It was tough for me too. I was like, Jamar was so special. Like we kind of had a feeling he could be good, but then preseason came and it was like, oh, he's dropping passes, and then you never heard of him dropping a pass, and all of a sudden he's in the Super Bowl.
Does it have to be a rookie?
I don't. That's what I'm saying. If you want to rephrase the question, no, I don't think it does.
Man, putting all my talk about an all-in bet and putting all your chips in one basket. I think there are going to be people who can't avoid talking about Jalen Hurts after this season. I think Jalen Hurts is in store for that kind of breakout year at the quarterback position. Okay. we talk about how the top 12 is set. We have like Kyler and Derek Carr at the end. I just believe as a dual threat, he's going to be the best or second best dual threat, as in like pure runner, because you have Lamar as well. And Lamar, I do think Jalen Hurts is a better thrower, not as good of a runner. But I do believe Jalen Hurts could have over 3,500 yards passing with 1,000 yards rushing. I think he's in store for that kind of season. But if I had to go like Super Bowl, George Pickens. I mean, this could be a guy that develops with Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky, both first year in the offense with George. And maybe they're out there on the field. Deontay's missing time with shoulder. Claypool's missing time with shoulder. And George Pickens, I mean, we've seen him make the catches in preseason. We've seen it in Georgia. We've seen it in preseason. He's never not been that guy. I don't know how he fell to the Steelers in the second round. Thank God he's on our team. But George Pickens could come out and I'm not – because Justin Jefferson was Jamar Chase right before him, and then Jamar did it. I don't know. We shouldn't get numb to this being a thing that happens. I mean, those two guys are special, and we've talked about that 2019 LSU team and how special they were. And those three guys have all lived up to those expectations. But yeah, that's a really good question. If I had more time, I may have different answers because it's tough to predict something like that, but it sure is fun.
From a rookie standpoint, and these are Jamar was literally the number one wide receiver taken, and the Bengals' number one need was offensive line, and they literally said, screw it, let's get Jamar Chase. That's how good Jamar was. So I don't want to overlook the fact that Jamar was a boss, because he was, but then he had the season to back it up. Somebody that I think could have a boss season that's not highly touted, watch out for Sky Moore. He could potentially just blend in with this offense and then all of a sudden be unguardable because there's just not enough to go around, because you have Juju, you have Kelsey, you still have Hardman there. If Sky Moore truly is as fast as they say and it really is a matchup nightmare, he could be one of those guys that's like, holy shit, like this is the next great receiver in the league. And because he plays with Patrick Mahomes, that gives you a leg up in this world.
Yeah.
So the second way I want to answer this question is Jamar Chase last year was actually drafted fairly low by a lot of people, but all of a sudden after 2 weeks, everybody was starting him every single week in their fantasy. There's a player that I think that could pertain to, and if I had to go again, this is bold and dark horse. Watch out for Kirk Cousins this year with an offensive coach with Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook and Thielen and Irv Smith. He could potentially be that quarterback that all of a sudden is a QB1 for the first time in his career where you're constantly playing him. And as I talked about on the NFC North pod 2 weeks or so ago, the numbers are 100% there always. So if he takes another step, watch out.
Yeah. I have Kirk Cousins in 3 of my 4 leagues in fantasy, and the one I don't have him in, I have Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts. So I was
So
like,
you're
can't
set.
really make room for a third
Yeah.
QB. But I think a guy like that at the wide receiver position, I don't know how much love Brandon Cooks is getting. Also, we talked about already, Allen Robinson. He's a guy that a lot of people think is just this mid-tier wide receiver, and I think he could really evolve into something really outstanding. Jump ball, go get it, knows all the routes, and he's gone from just the quarterback leap to Matt Stafford. I think is night and day. And you see some of those training videos where Matt's putting it in a beautiful window and he's just coming down with them. And you have to devote so much to Cooper Kupp. And if they get OBJ back and Vance Jefferson continues to play, watch out for Allen Robinson. I think he'll be a wide receiver 1 or 2 by the end of the year on some people's teams.
Yeah. I got to find a way to plug his name, so I'm going to here. I don't predict injuries on this pod. Brad doesn't either. It's never going to, I'm not predicting that this would happen. But if it were to happen, if Derrick Henry, high up in age, wheels start to come off, Hassan Haskins is in the perfect situation to succeed and succeed big if that opportunity were to be there. Watch out for him too this year. I think he's in a perfect role as a backup. But if Derek Carr, wow, if Derrick Henry were to potentially start to miss time or start to get workload management, whatever it is, watch out for Son. I think he's.
I think the scheme is perfect for Hassan Haskins, but I think when their lack of weapons, if Derrick Henry was to get hurt, it would just show how truly special Derrick Henry is because this O line's kind of weak. I don't think they have great weapons on the perimeter. No one's scared of Ryan Tannehill, and Derrick Henry literally wills that team to wins. Like it's hard fought defense under Vrabel, and then Derrick Henry just a right guard that runs 22 miles per hour. Like it is just scary stuff what Derrick Henry does. But I texted you the day he got drafted. I was like, Hassan Haskins went to the Titans, and you texted me back, perfect fit. And I was like, couldn't agree
money
more.
fit. Yeah.
It was unreal.
This one comes in from Jeff Johnson. He says, Mitchell Trubisky named the week 1 starter. Who would you want to start at quarterback week 1?
So just going into this a little bit, everyone knows I liked Mitch. I thought the way things fell apart at the Bears was the entire structure of the entire organization, not just Mitch. It's just a unique situation because it was always going to be Mitch, and I always wanted Mitch. But then it's different because he started 4 or 5 years at Pittsburgh, played in a pro style offense. Pittsburgh's offensive coordinator recruited him to college. He's played in the stadium, played in the city. And then he didn't do anything wrong in the preseason. He played unbelievably well. So I still want Mitch to be the week 1 starter because I see a path where it's like, okay, Mitch plays. When he struggles, we call for Kenny. And if the wheels start to fall off, we put Kenny in and then we ride it out the rest of the way. That scenario at least makes sense. But if you start Kenny and it looks like he's in a little bit over his head, and then you put Mitch in one game and then he doesn't work, it just seems like a catastrophe. But I do see it from this sense, and Colin Cowherd's put this out. He said next year there's supposed to be 4, 5, 6 different real quarterbacks that can play next year going in the first round. They're calling for 6 quarterbacks potentially in the first round. Wouldn't you like to know before that draft if Kenny's it? Like what happens if Mitch plays 10 games, then he's playing well. gets hurt and then Kenny comes in, is Mitch your quarterback for the rest? It's a tricky situation. I've never been a part of it. I can't wait to cheer for Kenny when he gets his time. But I do believe Mitch deserves this chance. We brought him in to do it, and it wasn't like Kenny just outplayed him in the preseason. Mitch had a really good preseason, had a few bucket passes, scrambled around, and we might just need his durability the first couple weeks to see what this offensive line's about, because it did not look great in the preseason, to be honest with you. I'm not going to say it's to the extent of the Raiders, but it's the same situation. You have a lot of weapons and an offense that could potentially go, but the O-line could maybe ruin all that before it gets started.
Does Mitch have a short leash? Steelers are 0-3. They go into Kenny.
Okay, I feel like that's a long leash if he's 0-3.
That's a long leash? It's only 3 weeks.
If you lose your first 3 games, yeah, you're clearly not getting it done. Get out of there. Like, you lose them all.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're at Bengals week 1, divisional game, home opener against the Patriots, at Browns, then the Jets. I think we evaluate them after 4 games. I think it's as simple as that. I do think the fans will be calling for Pickett before Tomlin does it. Like Tomlin, let's work through this kind of thing. But it's tough because
just as you look at that schedule, 90-10 you lose to Cincinnati. Fair?
Sure.
You may not agree. Maybe you do. I think it's 50-50 in New England. Okay.
50,
and to be honest, the way I break down that game, it's Belichick versus Trubisky. I like Belichick's chances there. And I don't even know what the Patriots are. I get more scared by the day. Not going to lie.
Yeah.
Week 3, you're playing the Browns. Rivalry game. Where's the game at?
It's at the Browns Thursday night.
Okay. At the Browns, short week. I don't hate Jacoby Brissett. I don't think he's good enough to win the playoff game, but I think he could beat Pittsburgh. So if you are 0-3 going into the Jets, that makes a lot of sense for me.
Well, the thing is I thought it would be 4 games: Bengals, Patriots, Browns, Jets. Out of those 4 games, I would like to think 2-2 is on the table. But the problem is if you put Kenny in, which you got to play against the rest of the NFL anyway. You can't be scared to put in Kenny. Yeah. It's just after the Jets, it's Bills, Buccaneers, Dolphins, Eagles, and 3 of them are road games. Gosh. 3 of those games are road games. So it's just that's 4 good defenses in a row. But again, if you need to see if Mitch is the guy, I think we can win some of those games. I think we can win some early, but I just look at like the back half. If you were to go into your week 9 bye, and we were 3-5. You're like, after the bye week, we're going to put in Kenny Pickett. After the bye, it's Saints, Bengals, Colts. 2 of those games are at home, which is good. But you finish the year with some, Falcons, Ravens, Panthers, it's a tough schedule. I get that. But the scheme fits both quarterbacks. I'm just going to write it out. We've gone way too long on this conversation, or maybe we haven't. It's a big topic, my favorite team. But essentially, I'm just going to write it out. I think that I think both quarterbacks are capable. But when Kenny comes in, I do think it's just so weird to say that I think Mitch should start week 1, but I think Kenny's the better quarterback. But I think Kenny in 2 years starting will be better than Mitch Trubisky has been in his career, even though I think Mitch can win games.
These 3 are for me. I don't want to say they're rapid fire, but that's kind of how I'm designing them.
I'll try and answer them quicker.
I mean, passing yard leader.
Justin Herbert.
Okay, give me a dark horse.
Tom Brady. Not a dark horse?
He led the league in passing last year.
Well, people are saying he's going to be bad this year. So
okay, fine.
All right. No. Let me get something. Jameis Winston.
I like that. Much better.
Jameis
passing yard leader for me, maybe it's both dark horse and Derek Carr. I'm high on the Raiders. I love the offense. Pieces are great. New offensive coordinator. Give me the Raiders. As a dark horse, it's still Derek Carr, but if not, man, Baker. I don't know. No, not Baker. Again, this wouldn't be dark. You know what?
Just say Kirk Cousins.
No. I don't know if this guy's ever led the league in passing. Russell Wilson. They just let him cook, offensive coordinator, finally in his career, and he leads the league in passing yards. Not necessarily think that's the way that they're going to win games, because I don't think that's a good idea, but
real dark horse. Tua Tagovailoa.
definitely there. Definitely possible.
That would be crazy. Tua
Yeah.
just 5,400 yards under Mike Daniel.
Yeah. Rushing leader. Your prediction and a dark horse. If your prediction isn't a dark horse.
My prediction is Derrick Henry. I think he just didn't play enough games to get it. Derrick Henry.
He was the leader through week 10 and only played 5 games or something.
Dark horse. Who also I almost want to put down as my comeback player of the year. Saquon Barkley.
That's a fair dark horse. That is a fair dark horse. So, my prediction to lead the league in rushing, Jonathan Taylor. I think that was potentially my prediction last year as well. He didn't lead the league in rushing yards, did he? To be honest, I don't remember. But
in the league leading rushing charts, he was first and second was JT after contact.
That's where I'm going again. Yeah.
He had a good year.
Bold prediction. This team's beat up and they like to run the ball and they don't necessarily have a lot of backup. Elijah Mitchell. I've been beating my chest for Elijah Mitchell. People have been laughing at me.
We can stay healthy.
I like Elijah Mitchell, and that system seems to bode well. Reception yards leader.
Yards leader.
Yep. Receiving yards.
Devontae Adams.
Yeah, it's hard to argue, especially when I just told you I thought Derek Carr is going to lead the league in passing. If it's not Adams, give me Jamar Chase as far as yards go. Though I do think Justin's going to have the best total season, receptions, yards, touchdowns. I think he'll have the total package. Moving over to the Facebook questions here. Dave Hazelton writes in, Steelers record. So I think you did just post it on the Facebook page.
Yeah, you want me to run through it?
Yeah, hit it. And
by the way, for you listening, maybe it's the first time you've seen my records. I have all 32 teams written down, when they play, where they play. And when I put a win on, I actually had 2 tables, had every paper laid out. And when one team got a win, I went over to the other team and gave them a loss, so the numbers add up. The Steelers, I have them finishing 10-7. Hopeful season, quarterbacks, line, defense, Tomlin, in games. See how it goes. Week 1 at the Bengals, loss. Week 2 home against the Patriots. I have a win. 50-50 though. That's fun game. Yeah. Week 3 at Browns, win. Week 4 home against the Jets, win. Steelers are 3-1. What's going on? They lose 4 straight. Bills, Bucks, Dolphins, Eagles. 4-game losing streak. They go into the bye at 3-5. And it's not looking good. Maybe this is where we switch to Kenny. That's what I'm assuming. So we come out of the bye, week 10, home against the Saints, win. Kenny's first game out the get beats the Saints. Week 11, home against the Bengals, Sunday Night Football, divisional upset. I have another win here. Beat the Bengals. Week 12 at the Colts, loss. Week 13 at the Falcons, win. 14 home against the Ravens. We seem to split against them, and we have Lamar's number. I like the win there. Week 15 at Panthers. We've had a lot of success versus Baker. Win. Week 16. Here's one of my other big upsets. The win against the Bengals is an upset. This one. It is Saturday Night Football on Christmas Eve in Acrisure Stadium. The Raiders come to town. I have an upset there. Those 2 games, the Bengals Raiders, I could see us losing. We're 8-9. It's a different thing. Week 17 at the Ravens, loss. Week 18, we're playing for our playoff lives, home against the Browns versus Deshaun. I didn't like what I saw out of Deshaun in preseason. I think he's still going to be rusty. I like us to sweep the Browns this year. So I have us at 10-7. Now this team could be 6-11 at the O-line and quarterback play. Obviously, he's an optimistic Steelers fan, which I believe the guy who wrote in may also be a Steelers fan.
He is.
But I have us at 10-7. But I will say this: I've gone over the Steelers' record way too many times. 10 is the most wins I could muster up. Like we can't get past that. 10 is the ceiling, and I put them at that. It is more realistic that we are a 7-8 win team on the season. So there was optimism in the Steelers.
And you have the fact that Tomlin's never finished under 500 going for you too. So
yes, which I didn't know if we were going to get into it, but Tomlin, if my prediction is right, I had him as coach of the year.
Oh, shoot. That's why I needed you to hit me. Yeah. Okay. So coach of the year, we did not get into that. You have Mike Tomlin, and that's basically because he drug this team to the playoffs.
Yeah, if my prediction's right, he'll have the offensive rookie of the year, the defensive player of the year, and he'll be coach of the year as they squeak into the 7th seed of the playoffs.
Yeah, I have that written down, but I didn't put it in my notes, so that's my bad. Yeah, mine was Josh McDaniels for the Raiders. Obviously, I'm all in
You're
on
all
the Raiders.
Yep.
Much like you're all in on the Eagles, I'm all in on the freaking Raiders. There's too much talent aboard and too much championship pedigree for me to just assume that this team is going what a lot of people are predicting in the 6 to 9 range. It's not possible to me. And I feel like I know something that others don't. I just think people they're either sleeping or they're just being stubborn. That's where I'm at.
Eagles Raiders Super Bowl. Let's go.
Dave is also asking, I know these are two of his favorite players, and I think he's also trying to be funny. Which weeks will Nick and Joey Bosa get hurt? He's a huge Buckeye guy, and these are two of his favorite. We don't predict injuries on this pod. I will say this. You said Joey was in for a big season. I think Nick could be in for one too. Watch out for both the Bosa brothers to really just bounce back after being kind of beat up these last couple of years and have a fully healthy season. And maybe they're battling for defensive player of the year because that's fun to talk about.
I think the Bosa brothers this year could combine for 30 to 35 sacks. I think they could both be somewhere in between 15 and 20 this year, both of them.
Yeah.
They're not the Watt brothers, but they're pretty
not.
good.
Kyle Miller writes in, who is the top fantasy scoring running back?
I'm assuming it's a PPR league.
Anybody that plays in a non-PPR, you're a communist.
Listen to me. I've got a lot of stonks in this guy, okay? Buy low, sell high. I am not ready to jump off the train. Saquon Barkley will be the highest scoring fantasy running back. Brian Daboll is going to get this man the ball. He was outstanding his rookie year. Year 2, he came in and had a step back year, hurt his knee. Everyone forgot about Saquon. Came back last year, fluke play, hurt up his ankle. Now he's injury prone, not that good. Saquon's going to Barkley this year. I can't wait.
Yeah, I really like Taylor. I think he's going to lead the league in rushing, and I really like what the Colts are as a unit.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Jonathan Taylor as the safe bet, though. I think it's hard to argue anybody on the planet beating Christian McCaffrey if he plays 16 to 17 games, just because of what he is. Kamara's great too. Just when McCaffrey plays, let's just say 5 games. Take anybody else's 5 games, and it's hard to beat McCaffrey. You know what I mean? So if McCaffrey is able to play 16 to 17 games, probably the top running back if we're just being straight up here. He also asked about the top wide receiver, and mine is, I don't even have to second guess it. It's Justin Jefferson. By a long shot, in my opinion.
I'm so mad in our Yahoo league that I didn't just take him at 3, but I think Devontae Adams. I tried to take who I thought was right, not who I wanted. By the way, in that league, if anyone's listening, I offered Jeff Sr. Jamar Chase for Devontae straight up, and he rejected it. So he must believe in Devontae Adams too, which that's okay. I tried my best. But
that's as fair trade as you could possibly get for a single year.
Yeah.
Because both players are in for big years, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just gosh, I love Devontae Adams.
I like Chase more personally.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't have to get into all that, but
yeah.
Chase is good. I'm not mad that he's on my team. Let's just put it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. Kyle writes in again asking about the comeback player of the year. We already actually touched on that. And then Dave Hazelton writes in a second time, will this be Tom Brady's last year? I've beat the table. I've said everything I've needed to say. Tom had a very unique goal in life 10 or so years ago. And he basically he put the goal out there and then gave like an alter statement too. He said, I want to play till I'm 45 years old. And everybody laughed at it, and because at the time it seemed very
Stupid.
It's stupid, and it was a very odd goal. Like 45 years old, you think you can play that long? A, no, you can't, and B, like, why would that be your goal? Obviously, now we know what we know, and Tom's he's a big body guy, takes care of himself, TB12 method, all that, that jazz, and we seen him retire in the offseason for a whopping 27 days or whatever the heck it was. I think this is Tom's last year, and there's a lot of people speculating that the reason he was off is maybe him and his wife are in a disagreement that he's playing this year. Who knows? Tom has a massive TV deal coming, as we all know. The details are already out on that. Tom made it to 45. He said, "I want to play till I'm 45, or until I suck." And I jokingly said, I shared that post the other day from when he said that, and I was like, well, it looks like Tom's going to play forever, but unfortunately, he's not going to play forever. I think he will be the first quarterback in the history of football to leave at the top of their game this late in their life, and he's going to leave on his own terms.
Yeah,
not because he's not wanted.
I think the TV deal kind of sealed it for me. I think this is his last year. I really thought it was last year, but I think this personal goal of his to play to 45, sleeping on the fact that he would have been done a year short. Because it looked on the bench last year when he lost to the Rams. There was just something different about Tom. It really looked like, this was the end. Like he just looked mopey. Then he was with the family. Then he did retire. And then he tried to go to bed for a month, thinking about how he was 6 months short of his dream that he had 2 decades ago to play till 45. And basically, there's a lot going on in his life. Like he said, he signed a big deal for more money, to be with his family more, to be with his wife, to go on vacations, all these things. And he had to tell every single person in his life that he had obligations to that I need football for one more year. Like he tried. He really tried. Mm-hmm. He could not stomach the fact that he was 1 year short of his goal, and he's not even forcing it skill wise. He should have been the MVP. Like he should have been the best. He was voted by the players as the single best player in the sport last year. He had to play one more year, and that's between him and his own demons. And he thought, for the rest of my life, I won't be able to enjoy anything knowing I walked away from my lifelong goal 1 year away. So I do absolutely wholeheartedly believe it's his last season. And there's a reason I turned on Serena's tennis match the other day, or the reason I turned on Tiger when he was in his final Masters. It's not about if they're good or if they're winning, which some of them did, some didn't. You have to watch the all-time greats when you can. I'll be watching as many Tampa games as I can. I'm 27. He's going into his 23rd season. I've never not known Tom Brady. And there's people in 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to be sitting at a bar and they're going to be like, yeah, I didn't see Tom Brady play. There's no way he's better than this guy right now. And you're like, well, let me tell you. So you got to watch him. It is his last year. I will be shocked if it's not. He's got 400 milli waiting for him on a broadcasting deal. I mean, what are we doing, Tom? So, yeah, it's his last year. 45 tuds in his 45th, 45 years old. Could be.
Super Bowl prediction.
Chargers over Eagles.
I knew that was yours. Obviously, you beat the desk on them. Yep. My AFC was tough because I'm high on a few teams, and there's other teams that I just think are really good. The AFC is so wide open. Wide open meaning like it's so top heavy that there's so many teams that could legitimately go, and I would not be shocked. To put things in perspective for you, if you were to bet the Chiefs and the 49ers, the Chiefs are one of the teams favored to win the Super Bowl. The Niners are favored out of the NFC. That matchup, if you were to bet that right now, it's plus 5,000. Those are fantastic odds. You could go throw $10 down and win 500 if that's the Super Bowl, you know? But my Super Bowl prediction is the Buffalo Bills. I think they finally break that mold to get to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, the one player the Bills do not want to see in the Super Bowl is going to be standing on the other side in his last season, ready to break their hearts one more time. Tom Brady and the Bucs.
A dark horse that I think would be really fun to see. I think Ravens Packers, or if we could get the Mahomes Aaron Rodgers, something that's kind of faded away.
Yeah,
I think that would be
yeah.
fun. Yeah, I think the Ravens have a real chance. Everyone talks about the AFC West. Everyone talks about the Bills. It's basically Chargers, Bills, Raiders, Broncos. You have the AFC South winner. Everyone likes the Bengals. I think the Ravens could come in and straight up just beat ass the whole year and go to the Super Bowl. And Lamar will be like, "You guys didn't want to pay me last year. Well, guess what? Price has gone up."
If I had to predict another one, but I can't use these two teams, this would be wild, but run it back. Give me a rematch. Rams versus Bengals. That would be great. I would love to see that get ran back and maybe swap it.
I would love to see the LA teams, Rams, Chargers. They play in week 17 and then they play again 4 weeks later in the Super Bowl.
I'm all for it. Yeah, all for it.
Just a couple names, or a name that we haven't mentioned who I think is in store for a massive year. Just sticking with the theme, I guess. Keenan Allen. I don't think people talk enough about Keenan Allen.
Yeah. There's a name that I've wanted to plug, and I'm excited, but I'm so scared at the same time. Mac Jones. The reason I bring his name up is because like everybody's expecting, like we've talked this whole pod about jumps. Rookie quarterbacks, we talk about jumps. I think Matt can make a jump, but I'm also terrified of what this team could be, and it would not shock me to see them win 5 games. I don't think that's realistic. Like I think you predicted 6.
6 and 11 is what
I think you're on the low end, but at the same time, I can't argue you. Like I can't, if you told, like I think you had the Raiders pretty low too, and I could sit here and argue with you that I think you're wrong about the Raiders, and I can't give you a solid argument as to why New England's going to be good, except for like, well, we have Bill Belichick. That might not matter anymore, you know?
I don't want to say that for sure, but it's like, you can look at a lot of guys this way, I guess, but like, do we know what Bill Belichick is without Tom Brady? It's been so long ago. Sometimes you have a stint with a quarterback on your move, but it's like 20 years with Tom Brady. And you obviously have to figure out quarterback after, but even before when he kind of jumped around, it wasn't great. But it's like, oh, well, he was early in his coaching days. Like, not many guys are together for 2 whole decades and win 6 ships together. So it's like, believe in Bill. And it's like, well, yeah, Bill could make as many screw ups as he wanted on the roster, which he might not have made many, but he could have made screw ups. And it's like, oh yeah, we got Tom Brady, so it's okay. Like, so yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. It's a interesting dynamic. Every team's got their own, and gosh, that's why we play the games. And this is the last pod before NFL kicks off, boys.
Speaking of kickoff,
Rams Bills.
Thursday night Rams Bills. Who you got and why?
I have the Rams at home defending their title. Tre'Davious White is out, their top corner for the Bills, and their other starting corner is a rookie because Levi Wallace is at the Steelers. They have Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, and Matt Stafford coming to town. And then defensively, we talk about Aaron Donald causing havoc. They're going to get after it. Troy Hill, I think his name is, went to the Browns. He was a corner. He's back. He had like 6 picks opposite of Jalen Ramsey last time they played. Oh, nobody wants to mention Bobby Wagner's on this team. Like, I know that sometimes Josh Allen gets free and he's running, he can make some guys, miss. Not Bobby. I think Bobby is I think what this Rams defense has been missing to take them to all-time level. They have Jalen, they have Aaron Donald. I watched a little pod. You ever see The Pivot? Channing Crowder, Ryan Clark. You ever watch it?
Here and there, I've
Okay.
seen clips and stuff.
So they had Saquon Barkley on, and they said, "Was there a transition for you from college to pro?" And he's like, "Athletically, not really. If you can run a 4.3, you can run a 4.3. I've always considered myself a great athlete." But he was like, "What was different is like the mental is like, it's weird. You don't have it in college where like I'd line up in the backfield and Luke Kuechly called out our play. Like we broke the huddle, walked up to the line of scrimmage, and Luke Kuechly across the line was like, "Yeah, they're running this." Saquon's like, "I've never had the other team just like tell me what I'm supposed to do." Bobby Wagner does that. Bobby Wagner's the type of guy that walks out there and he's like, "Oh, hey, you, if you shoot this gap, you're getting a tackle, or you're gonna have a chance to." Like they now have a coach on the field, and I think that's gonna make tremendous leaps for all the other guys outside those superstars. I think the Rams defense takes a step. By no means is this the death of the Bills, because the Rams play the Bills and then later they play the Chargers. I think both of which they could see in the playoffs. But at home on championship night, I like them. Couldn't believe they came out as underdogs. They're +2 on the spread. You're gonna come out here and tell me, "Oh, Bills win." Not shocked.
Yeah.
These are two teams that whoever loses this game is going to knock them from 12 to 11 wins or 13 to 10 on the season. These are going to be teams that aren't beat easily. But I fear for the league if one of these teams comes out and messes around and wins by 17. Like, how is that team going to be viewed if they just beat the brakes off the other team? I don't know, but no injuries going into it. The rosters that I've seen, I like the Rams on opening night at home in SoFi, get the ring ceremony, and then start their next endeavor. They also have Cam Akers now, which people like. He's coming back from the Achilles. I'm worried. He was a dog in the playoffs. Fumbled a bit too much. Got to fix that. But running back was playing real good, Cam Akers. So I like the Rams.
I like the Rams for every reason you just said. Don't need to repeat it. The one thing I will say
Hey,
is 3.5 minutes ago, I told you that the Bills were going to be in the Super Bowl, and I mean that. Losing week one doesn't change a thing. And, both teams will be in my power rankings after week one, no matter who wins and loses. So doesn't change anything for me. Yeah, I'm hyped for this game. I'm hyped for NFL football, but what a treat to us as fans to give us this kind of matchup week one, just kick off the season.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for AFC teams that if the Rams made it back to the Super Bowl, if they would play them. They play the Bills. They play the Chiefs. They play the Raiders. They play the Broncos. They play the Chargers. So they play the AFC West, and then their other team that's not in the AFC West is the Bills from the AFC East. So if it's not the AFC South or North, they're likely going to play. It would be a rematch if they made it to the Super Bowl, which would be fun for talking's sake. Oh, they played back in week 13. They steamrolled them.
Yeah. Well, last but not least, I'll beat this drum to the end of time. This Sunday, live on Spotify Live.
Yes, special.
Jeff, Brad, Real Talk Live, 11 to noon. Okay? We're going to talk every single NFL game from week one, including the Monday Nighter. We'd love to have you join us, chime in, chat with us, tell us why we're right, tell us why we're wrong. We'll probably have some bets in there, as well as we're going to introduce a brand new segment too. A little game between me and Brad over the course of the season. We're going to introduce you guys. So, yeah, hope you guys are digging this. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Let us know what other bold predictions you have in the comments. Share this pod as much as you can. Like, subscribe. We made it. Football's here.
Absolutely, man. College football did not disappoint this last weekend, unless you're an LSU fan, and then sorry about it.
Yeah, or an Oregon Duck fan.
Well,
sorry, I had to.
they played
Sorry,
in
Justin.
NFL.
Sorry, Justin Herbert, friend of the pod.
I think Ohio State should be ranked number 1, and then there should be a second category above it that says NFL hopefuls, and Bama and Georgia should just be in there. They're just hoping a relegation system comes out that they can just. They got the Bills week 2. Let them go.
Yes. All right. Well, that's a wrap. We will see you guys next time. We out.
Real talk, guys.
Real talk.